What's going on, guys? I'm still in ISO for another day, but the guys went and did a crit last night. The Wheel Ronda Reithoven. Miles got 5th in the sprint, which is pretty cool. There's a couple of heavy hitters there, as you'll see in this video. So what I did is I did a bit of an overlay of the GoPros. I stuck the microphones on them, and they're going to commentate the last 2 laps. Hope you enjoy it.
So this is like just over 2 laps to go. This is the run in to the finish. And the bunch was pretty much, yeah, getting all G'd up for the bunch sprint. And
yeah, by this Tom was pretty strung out. Single file, obviously, how you can see there. Ben and I took the front pretty early, but you can see here we're still...
Well, this is when we're still chopping off because there's a solo rider up the road. So the main riders are trying to... It was this sort of weird cat and mouse where everyone wanted to roll through to try and bring the break back, but no one wanted to spend too much energy and blow themselves for the sprint either. Because I think this would be about 6K to go, so it's close enough where really ripping in is going to take away from your sprint. And that's the tight corner right on it's about 200 meters to go on the run into the finish. And this was where I actually was sort of trying to see if I could let a gap go. And I was thinking if Miles could get up the road with a couple of others, they'd be more likely to commit to the chase rather than people worrying about towing riders behind. But obviously it didn't work. They were pretty quick.
Yeah, it's basically like an elastic band effect. Every time someone would probably get maximum 100 metres up the road, and then it'd be, yeah, everyone would look around and go, oh, what are we doing? And then it'd come back together. So it was really odd. Definitely a different experience compared to racing in Australia. Like, usually if a break goes up the road, they kind of let it go.
There's a fair bit of watching too of, you can see the Jumbo Visma rider there, and there was an Alpecin Phoenix rider there as well. Everyone in the bunch was pretty keen to keep an eye on them and not let them disappear up the road, which did lead to a fair bit of watching each other style racing. This back part of the course was really rough. It's not cobblestones, but it's pretty much still fairly rough pavement, and just made for the race just being that bit extra grippy. How was your wrist after doing this, Miles?
Yeah, definitely on this rough section. It was nearly better off being in the drops because you had more like kind of shock absorbers in your bars, but if you were on the hoods, it kind of, yeah, gave it to your wrist a fair bit. Especially with 2 laps to go, I looked at Ben and I was like, oh man, my wrists are absolutely killing me. And this corner here, coming into this, if you went on the outside, there was like 2 potholes. And as you can see there, if you went into there, you were pretty screwed. So you had to be pretty mindful of that coming in. You took the right line. So on and off, as you can see, the power. And out of each corner was a bit of a sprint.
Yeah, it was a very surgy sort of on-off race. There wasn't any real point, but we were constantly on the pedals. This section through here too was a pretty strong crosswind actually. So as you can see, we're pretty much staying hard left, trying to hide out of the wind as much as we can. This is when I went up to pick Miles up, because we're now sort of coming into just over 1 lap to go. So this is where everyone was getting a bit antsy for the bunch kick.
How many Ks in? Wait,
This is coming in to get the bell lap.
yeah, okay. be able to see it here. Yeah, one lap to go.
This is the bell lap into the finish, and there are a few riders that decided to commit to a few hard turns through here, which I was actually quite happy with because I could see the solo rider off the front. It's hard to see him on the video, but we could actually see him, and he looked like he was starting. He'd been out there for about 10 to 12 Ks at this point, so I could see he was starting to fade. And he'd been solo pretty much the whole time, so he didn't have any help. And he's sort of behind that car with the flashing lights. And I didn't really want to hit the front this early, but this sit up here that happened, I knew that if I didn't go to the front and at least keep some pressure on the pedals, I still wanted to keep Miles in with a chance of actually racing for the win. So I didn't want a full commit to a send chase, but I also didn't want to let the bunch have a complete sit up and let the gap blow right out, because then we'd have no chance of catching him. And it's sort of hard to see on that video, but he is just dangling there. Like, I'm not proper hard on the pedals, but we were holding him even along here. And I was sort of patiently waiting and hoping. There's a team in this race that has plenty of numbers, and I was kind of hoping they would start an early lead out. They're the ones coming up on the left of the screen here.
In the blue and green there, yeah.
They never really committed to a lead out like I thought they would, but I was, hoping that they would have started earlier, and then we would have been a shot of actually catching the rider. And this section through here is largely just about staying at the front, out of trouble, and keeping Miles in a good position, because these two corners are just brutal if you're even more than 10th wheel back. Like, it's a pretty hard surge if you're not in that top few.
Well, this would have been about 1,500 to 2K out, do you reckon? From
This
here?
is about 800 metres to go.
Yeah.
This is where I honestly think the bunch lost the race. Like, this was the moment where really needed someone to really commit to a full send lead out. But just that brief stall was enough for the old mate to hold on. And this is basically when this is 500 to go, so I just had to commit to hitting the front and trying to drop Miles off as
And then we
best as I
kind of,
can.
we got pretty swamped here coming into the last kind of chicane, and then, that Jumbo Visma guy went, and then, as you can see there, everyone is, come flat out into this corner, and just a bit of bad position coming to the last corner, but then we rolled in for 5th, so, pretty good first race.
It's about here where my legs fell off and just parked up a bus for the finish. But you rolled in for 5th in the end.
5th, yeah.
But old mate just hold on by only a few seconds for the win. No, all in all, it was a pretty fun race and good hit out, and I think we can certainly work on.
Yeah, I think, just first race, like different experience, different racing, and now we kind of have a bit of a feel for it, and hopefully tonight we can go better and hopefully maybe get a result, get on the podium and win some cash. Enjoy ourselves, that's the main thing.
Cool, it's time for a burrito.
Pre-race fueling.